Welcome back to the Links Golf Club podcast, your weekly live show about our wonderful club and the world of golf. I'm Gregory, and I'm joined as always by Cooper, Chris, and we got Bossie somewhere. I think she's behind me asleep. This week, we look at a few stories from the world of golf and then talk through the state of our games, good and bad and all in between, and we ask you for the state of yours. But let's bring in Cooper and Chris here. Gentlemen, how we feeling?
Feeling good. Good morning, or good afternoon, rather.
Very recently, good afternoon to everybody. In case you tuned in last time, we had some thoughts about Philadelphia sports. I am disappointed to report that the situation has deteriorated further, much further. Other than that, though, we're doing great. It's fall golf season, and we're excited to be here with y'all.
Sweet. I've similarly, I've heard calls to trade Josh Allen. The Bills are in their October rut. Yeah, for me, I'm on the eve of a golf trip, and it is like the best feeling in the world to just know that, tomorrow I'm going to be playing a bunch of golf in North Carolina, and I am super duper excited. It's something I do every October, and just packed last night, took way too much time packing, planned it all out, just savored it, packing the golf bag, unscrewed the driver head, took a picture of the right setting, and made sure I had enough Element electrolytes. I'm on the Try Create gummies now after the fiasco that I had before. So I can actually take it with me. No free ads. Shout out to me individually if you'd like Try Create. But yeah, the super excited and really, really excited to get into today because something that's been on all of our minds a lot is our golf games. We got a little bit of golf news to talk about first, but Chris, why don't you talk to us, speaking of self-improvement, speaking about getting better, standing on business, why don't you talk to us about the stack system?
I do want to talk about the stack system, although you segued right past my ability to talk about the Falcons beating the Bills on Monday, which I don't know if that was intentional or not.
I can't hear you, Chris. Your audio is not coming through too well right now. So why don't we just talk about stacks? I think it'll come out in post-production. That's fine.
I have to take it. The Atlanta sports scene is pretty bleak this year, so I have to take advantage of any chance to rub in a little intra-pod sports wins. But you're right. Let's talk about the stack system. One of our great partners, the stack system, you may know it already. They're the #1 speed training system in golf. And they have the data to prove it with over 60,000 users, 40 million swings tracked, and an average gain of over 27 yards in distance potential, which is absolutely insane. It's used by a ton of pros, including Matt Fitzpatrick, who's credited with his big distance gains leading up to the U.S. Open win in 2022. It's an all-in-one system with training club and weights, an integrated swing speed radar, an award-winning app, and a wealth of training programs to fit every golfer. And if you've been around listening to the pod for a little bit, we've played around with it a bit as well. I did it last winter. I have to say it was incredible how quickly my swing speed jumped up after starting the program. I think it was a solid 10 miles an hour driver head speed, swing speed, like within the first few weeks, matter of weeks, and then continued progressing from there. So it was a really awesome kind of tool for me last winter. I know you guys played around with it as well, but I've kind of used it as living up north, not getting to play nearly as often, even like going to the sim and stuff, just not getting as many swings in. So the stack is like a great winter training tool. Keep getting swings in, keep kind of the feels up, and also, work on speed specifically as well, and have something kind of tangible to work towards. So that is fully my plan for this winter, to get back on it, get the winter training program going. And, honestly, it works perfectly for that. You can go do it in the backyard, do it at the sim, kind of do it wherever. But had a great experience with it last winter, and, looking forward to do it again this winter. What about you guys? I don't think we ever closed the loop on it, but where do you guys end in your stack journey? Have you continued with it, thinking about it for this winter? Mm-hmm. Where have you guys been at?
Yeah, I think we have some future pods planned to go into a little deep dive. The TLDR is, I think, one thing that was very helpful for me going into this was focusing on it improving my sort of on-course swing, not just max speed, right? So like the first time I kind of like for the first part of the program, I was like, oh man, that max speed's going up and up and up and up. And then ball striking was like, oh, okay. But what the true unlock was that what I like the efficiency of what used to have to be a carry and ball speed and sort of spin that I wanted at like 107 miles per hour, which I've never been an incredibly fast swinger of the driver. It meant that I could swing at like 99, feel like I was just absolutely cruising and get basically the same distance. So some of that is better ball striking. Some of that is also just being able to create usable speed in a way that doesn't feel as effortful, but knowing that I still got a little left in the tank if I warm up and I can get after it more. So that was the thing that was really amazing to me is my carry distance has gone up even while my on-course speed has gone down, and that's a massive improvement there.
Yeah, I would concur. I think that it helped me find a slot in my swing that I could trust more than my regular swing. My driver tendency is to go 120% at all times, and so this kind of gave me the feedback when I was using the app, which is really, really cool. Like you've set a new swing record, and I felt that in the gym, and when I was practicing it, it's like, okay, I don't have to go for that feel on the tee box of a medium par 4, right? Like I can go out there and swing a more consistent swing. And really the program taught me how to find that swing, adapt to it, and then strengthen it. So I'm really, really stoked to dive back in with the stack this off season. I think it's going to be really good. I've got a little more space now. I'm going to be swinging it at home. Reminder, folks, wear your gloves when you're using your stack, because if it comes loose, it can do some damage. But yeah, really, really cool program. My favorite part is the app and the radar. I mean, it just like seamlessly connects. It shows you what you're doing. Good feedback.
Yeah. I think another thing don't sleep on is iron. So I am now hitting 2 irons more and more and more because my 2 iron is going further, right? And my irons are hitting their distance better. So it's almost like you go into it thinking about driver more than anything else, but I've seen a net increase in carry distance, ball speed, spin, height, like all the things that I want to get out of my irons. I'm seeing that, and I think that's directly related to this.
Yeah, the app, I totally reiterate what you said, Coop, that the app is pretty great. You can see some screenshots on the screen here, but it makes it very simple and also kind of gamified and fun to go through the program. And they have all sorts of different programs that they match you up with based on what you specifically need, whether it's kind of the fundamentals or lead arm, trail arm, just kind of all different aspects depending on where you are in your speed journey. So it's been a great product to use. It's the perfect time to get started with the stack system. Whether you're thinking about kind of going into the winter training like I am, or just want to increase your speed kind of during the middle of the season if you're in one of those regions of the country or the world that I'm jealous of, where you get to play over the winter. And it's super easy to do. Twice a week, 30 minutes. You can do it in your backyard or, in your basement or wherever. It's a really efficient way to train, which I have certainly loved, trying to squeeze it in between all the, all the other commitments with life and work and everything else. And I have to also say they have, in addition to speed training, they have the stack wedging and stack putting programs, which I did not get into. I mean, they didn't have the wedging program last winter, but I'm excited to give those a try this year as well, and get in and get a well-rounded game improvement session going over this winter. So if you're interested to learn more, go to thestacksystem.com/linksdao. It's /LINKSDAO. You can see that's the site that Coop has pulled up here. You can get 10% off all of their products. So that's the stack system, weights and swing training aid, the radar, or the full bundle. And if you're a Links member, remember to head to the Clubhouse to get 20% off all of those stack products as well. You can find the link in the member Clubhouse at clubhouse.links.golf. So really excited about getting back into it. We're going to talk a little bit more about our our game plan for our own games, where we're sitting currently, and what our plan is to improve. The stack system certainly going to be a part of that for me. But excited to talk more about that today and get into all the aspects there. But before we do, Coop, you got anything else to announce for us or to go through before we jump into the main segment?
Yeah. We still have a few spots remaining, limited at the Tree Farm event in South Carolina coming up. It's just over a month away now. So really, really excited for that outing. 2 days at Zach Blair's brand new top rated course. If you've seen some of the news, if you haven't, give it a Google. It's a really, really cool spot. We're stoked to be going out there with a bunch of members, and we have a couple spots remaining. That is November 23rd and 24th. And the big news is it's now sponsored by Golfbreaks. So they're going to be helping us out with some of the content on site, as well as giving everybody who attends a $200 voucher credit towards Golfbreaks golf travel in the future. So that's for everybody. And then one lucky winner is going to get $2,000 in travel credit from Golfbreaks. They do the best golf trips, I think, in the game. You show up with your golf clubs and they handle the rest, your lodging, your transportation, your tee times. It's just a no-brainer for people who are looking to plan golf trips from, just a foursome to groups of 20 plus. So you can go do all of that with Golfbreaks. That sign up link is available on our events page. I will drop the link as well for the Tree Farm here in the chat. So we've got that coming up. Really, really excited about that. And then we're doing another Links coin drawing today in Discord. So make sure you tune in this afternoon, get your Discord role, connect your wallet to get some rewards. We'll be doing more giveaways. We've done free runner golf balls, pro shop credit, hats. So hop in the Discord, get your rolls, and we will see you there this afternoon. Yeah, other than that, I'm ready to get into it.
Sweet. All right. Well, let's talk a little bit about some items that caught our eye this week. I think one big thing, obviously, we are in post Ryder Cup, sort of pre no longer Kapalua, but wherever they're going to play that event, and we're kind of not scraping to the bottom of the barrel, but I think it's a good time to take a little bit of break from pro golf, but also find some stories that might not get the light when we're in the middle of signature events, majors, and the Ryder Cup. So one thing is, it's exciting. It's sort of our version of the end of the college football season, the NFL Combine, the NFL Draft. You got Korn Ferry Tour players earning their PGA Tour cards. So that's exciting. One is you get to read about these guys and see some of these guys who are going to be playing on the PGA Tour next year. Get to know them early. Obviously, I think some of the big names that stand out. Neil Shipley, who is the low am at the Masters 2 years ago. And then also Adrian Dumonte Chart, butchered about half of that, but a couple names that stand out there. But yeah, I mean, there's 20 new players to the PGA Tour. They all earned it by playing on the KFT, and so it's exciting. They're excited. Their celebration. I'm sure Shipley threw back a couple of American loggers over the course of the weekend. But any of these names sort of catch your eye? Anything that you're excited about? You see here on these KFT emerging PGA Tour players.
I didn't have any specific takeaways from it, other than just the general. It's fun watching players progress, and this is a big step, for a lot of them, right? At this point, we've seen Neil Shipley, we've seen in the Masters twice, and competing in majors and stuff. So it's after that happens, it's hard to it's not the hugest thing, but it's cool to see the continued development. Same goes for ADDC. I'm just going to go with that instead of Dumonte Chasart. Make it easy. Christo Lamprecht. We've seen a lot of these names playing on tour already, but cool to see it kind of become official. We'll see their names a lot more. And I'll also say I am sure there are some great stories within that list that I don't know as much about, and I probably should. So, it'll be fun to see some of those come to light, hopefully with some more, playing time and airtime that they'll get coming up this year too.
Yeah, I mean, it's cool, just even seeing stories I think Cooper has it pulled up here, but Chandler Blanchett, French. He was on the Korn Ferry Tour for like 4 years, and so he actually won the Korn Ferry Tour championship. I think he finished second in points to be able to now get his card. So like, we spend so much time talking about the top end of world golf, and especially during the Ryder Cup, but also during majors and everything else. And it's cool to see some of these guys who've been grinding for a while. Like we all know how impossibly hard it is to be good enough, even to play on the Korn Ferry Tour, and to stand out in the top 20 of that tour, to then now have an opportunity to get a card, play in a bunch of events next year, earn some life-changing money, get some name recognition, get some more sponsorship dollars. It's exciting for these guys for sure.
Yeah, I think I read a post somewhere about how even once you get your PGA Tour card, though, like you're not guaranteed to play in all of the, the events, because there are more card holders than there are slots in a lot of these tournaments. So it's really interesting to me, like, what is that next step look like when you're in this limbo? I mean, obviously, you've graduated from the KFT, but like, how do you get your foot in the door, get in with sponsors and kind of make a name for yourself? And it's going to be interesting to see how folks do this. I think, Neil Shipley went a long way when he made those eyes in Butler Cabin, right? And just got that face recognition with a bunch of golfers.
Yep.
But curious to see what names on this list, we really see coming across our screens in the next year or two.
Yeah. I mean, maybe there's
it's been, and I think it's been shifting sands the past few years, because they implemented the PGA Tour U program, which I'm not going to remember all of the details, but you basically, based on your performance in college, I believe you skip straight to having a PGA Tour card. So you skip the Korn Ferry Tour. But some of these guys, I think on here, kind of their college experience predated that, so they're still in like the kind of backfill time frame on that. Plus, obviously, all the NIL money and everything, just kind of the landscape looks a little different for like pathway to tour, pathway to making a career. So that's all changed up a lot, but this is still like the primary path to get through. So the other piece of it, of course, is like the signature events, which are limited field. And so like, every PGA Tour card player doesn't get to play in those. It's just the top X amount. And, so you do end up fighting for spots, and, they've got the whole prioritization system they have for getting people into tournaments, and their sponsors exemptions and all that stuff. So it's it can be a little bit of a maze to walk through, but it definitely, big step for all of these guys to get in and get some more starts and hopefully make a name for themselves and work themselves up the leaderboard.
For sure. Let's talk a little bit about, anytime a golf course list of any kind is released, it's a big day for architecture sickos. Golf Digest this week released the best golf courses in each state. This is a paywalled article, but I think you can actually get through it if it's your first time on a browser seeing it. So definitely go through and check out your state. I'm fine with the Tennessee list. Initially, I was talking to Cooper about it. Initially, I was pretty disgusted that Lookout Mountain wasn't on it. Then I realized that Lookout Mountain is in Georgia, not in Tennessee, which I still claim Lookout Mountain for Tennessee, but it is what it is.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I think these things are really fun, especially because it gets to a level of detail that the top lists don't always get to, and it puts some shine on some clubs that wouldn't show up in the top 100, top 200. At least the Tennessee version definitely was more private, which is unsurprising. I think it was interesting that, I think 7 of the top 10 in Tennessee were Donald Ross designs. He certainly came down, and Johnny Appleseeded his way through Tennessee in the early part of the century. But it was nice seeing the Hillcrest connection, to some of those Tennessee courses. And I don't think I've actually played a single one of them. So that's definitely something that I'll be monitoring on the bucket list situation, is to figure out how to play. Did y'all look at your states? Anything stand out? Any things you liked, didn't like about the list?
Yeah, I poked around a little bit. It is, it's funny when you look in like New York, it's the list is it's so like dense. It's almost, there's not that much interesting in there, but, poked around a little bit, took a look at South Carolina, Tree Farm, number 4 in the state, behind some heavy hitters. which will, so be fun to see that later in the year. South Carolina's been booming in terms of new course builds and golf destinations and everything. So took a look there and I kind of poked around. You do kind of wonder how much data they have going way down the long tail of these courses in some states, but it is fun to poke around and see, get really deep in lots of courses beyond just the top 100 that you kind of always see, and Golf Digest has been pretty good about, they do their top 100 and the second 100. And I think they are very data driven about everything that they do from a ranking perspective, which is cool.
Yep. Which I'll put a plug in. We did an episode with Derek Duncan, who was part of behind this list, and he deep dove into that process. And they have made a good or bad, like there's pros and cons, but they have made definitely an emphasis on being more data driven than sort of anecdotal on these. And I think you can tell.
Yeah. But it is like when you have this many courses in this many states, it's definitely ripe for nitpicking.
Sure.
So, going way down the list, it's there's a lot less consensus for sure. So you go in and poke around and look at your home state. You can see probably some things you won't agree with, some things you will agree with, but still that's kind of the fun of it, right? It's just have a bit of discussion around it. So fun that they provide a lot of content for us to do that.
For sure.
Although it'd be cool.
If Butler Pitch and Putt isn't on the Texas list, we riot. So.
Yeah, let us know what your favorite course is in your state, and if it shows up on your list in the comments. It's cool to see a couple of the Union League courses that were previously unranked make the Pennsylvania list in the top 50. That's a fun sign. And yeah, pretty much Pennsylvania, I got to agree with the top three here. Oakmont, Aronimink, and Marion, although I have played none of them. But vibes-based approach, I think that sounds directionally correct.
Sure. It meets my priors.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, let's also then talk about Rodeo Dunes a little bit. I think if you're as much of a following the types of accounts that talk about progress on new golf courses, Rodeo Dunes is super interesting. Friday has a good write-up about it. There was also a Adventures in Golf video released, I think, last night about it. Super cool project. So it was basically 4 years in the making. Mike Kaiser's son, they're the ones behind Sand Valley, obviously Mike Kaiser behind Banded Dunes. They're sort of always on the lookout for great land. And that's sort of where it starts. And he actually just at night, apparently goes on Google Maps, satellite imagery, and searches for large sand swaths in places that make sense. And obviously Banded Dunes way out there, but they've tried to get closer and closer to airports, I think. And he basically happened upon this massive ranch estate east of Denver. So obviously west of Denver would be the mountains. East of Denver, you're going towards Kansas. And this property just looks tailor-made for golf. I mean, just like you look at Sand Valley and you look at like, okay, this is Dunes land in the middle of Wisconsin. Looks like Dunes land in the middle of Colorado. And it is still a working ranch. So the agreement took about 4 years to reach with the sort of the main guy at one of the largest rodeo, managers, and they do all the agriculture for rodeos. They raise and train bucking broncos and bulls and everything else, but they also host the rodeos. And so they had all this land, and similar to kind of the history of links land in Scotland, it just wasn't very good for agriculture. You couldn't really grow much on it. Like you could, some of the cows would graze out there and they, sort of protect themselves from the elements in the sand, but it was the least desirable part of this massive ranch that goes back 150 years. And so he kind of came in, made friends with the family, and over the course of 4 years got to the point where they allowed him to build a golf course. And Core Crenshaw did it. Looks amazing. They're doing, I think, preview play now. I think worth absolutely following this project. Obviously, anything that Dream Golf does is great, but it's a cool story. It's a cool location, and would really be excited to get out there and play it.
Yeah, it looks amazing. I was reading through some of the content in the lead up to their preview play stuff, and it sounds like they gave Korn Crenshaw the direction to kind of be a little more aggressive or willing to do new things with the land, which is cool. And I think it was Fried Egg that was detailing some of that about how they did maybe some things that are a little less traditional in their repertoire. But it looks like the result is certainly worth playing. So yeah, exciting to see all these new destinations pop up, and this one's been in the works for a while, so we've kind of been able to follow it from start to finish. Right? I think they announced it like 2 years ago, probably. They put out the initial logo and website and everything, and then seen some pictures here and there on like Bill Core's Instagram or whatever, and then finally get to the finished product. So it's a fun journey to follow along with.
Yeah, it's just always kind of fun watching these projects that are maybe in later stages, like Hillcrest is, for example, or Speve, and just like seeing it come together. The like journeys are really fun to see, and then when you see a finished product, you're just like, okay, like that's what we're building towards. This is amazing. So very cool. I know editorially I was on the fence about including this, but I know that Chris is a huge DP World Tour sicko. DP World India Championship is this week. Chris, why don't you walk us through? I mean, it's actually going to be an event that I watched, and it's going to be exciting because a lot of big names there. But tell us about DP World India Championship.
Yeah, DP World Tour sicko, maybe a little bit of an overstatement, but it is pretty cool event. I think this week, just the field is very good in India this week. DP World Tour events tend to have solid fields, but this one I would say kind of, punches above its weight, even given that. So like Rory, Tommy Fleetwood, Victor Hovland, Shane Lowry, like all the DP World Tour guys will be there, but also Brian Harmon, Ben Griffin, Michael Kim, who just won recently. So a really solid field. And I think this is fun just in that obviously it's a different locale, but also it's a very different course than a typical tour course. To be honest, it's not like I know a ton about the architecture of Delhi Golf Club or whatnot, but it's just 6,900 yards and very tight. And so it is very much a different style of play than what we typically see on the PGA Tour or anywhere else, really. So I think I saw 31% of the field didn't even carry a driver last time they played here, which is wild, just based on everything you see about the game today, right? Is like bomb and gouge, hit as far as you can. And that's how the math plays out, but apparently not here. So that's fun. It's something different. And obviously the prospect of bringing the game and bringing a bigger competitive set to India, a huge market, is cool as well. So it'll be fun. Nice little, way to mix it up here post Ryder Cup, get a little different vibe in our golf watching, even though the hours I'm guessing will not be great for trying to watch it live, but give and take.
Yeah. Cool. Well, let's get into the main segment here. So I think we are nearing the 1-year anniversary of the Links Golf Club podcast. We released our first one on 31st of October last year. And we started the podcast talking about the stack system and set ourselves some goals for the course of the year and had a lot of wide-eyed improvement expectations for 2025. Well, for all intents and purposes, the golf season is starting to draw to a close. And so it kind of made me reflective of kind of what's changed in my golf game over the course of the last year. And I was curious, both for the two of you, but also listeners and viewers in the comments in the Discord later, sort of just state of the union type situation here. So I think where I'll start, and I can start to give you all a little bit of time to think about it, but I think it's like a high level, where's your game at right now? I would say, I don't know if my game is better than it was last year. I think I would say that individually, each skill is better than it was at this time last year. I am better off the tee. I am better approach, significantly so. We'll talk about kind of different strengths and weaknesses. Around the green's good, and I think I'm a better putter. So I think I've progressed, but it's not linear, which I think is the frustrating thing. Like, it's not like I went from all right, I broke 80 for the first time last year. I got down, to a single digit handicap last year. It's not like I'm a 5 this year. I think my handicap actually ended up going up this year. And so I would like to be able to hang my hat on, oh shit, like I'm a better golfer now. I might be, I think I am, but I also decided I was going to play competitive events this year, and I played in 8 of them, and I went 0-7-1. So like from a competitive standpoint, like I don't have that dog in me. Like I don't have that. I think a lot of that's mental, and I think a lot of my focus in going forward is still going to be on the mental part of the game. Obviously, still practicing ball striking.
I was going to ask, what do you chalk that up to? Primarily just mentality, reps?
I mean, yeah, I think so. I mean, I don't think it's prep. Like, I have a plan going into the golf course. If I'm playing it, I know what I need to do. I think I'm making decent decisions with, when to hit driver, where to miss, what my target lines are. I think I'm sticking to the process, but like, it just falls apart. Like the best example I think I've told in the pod is I played with my brother a couple months ago, and we had a match going. We were doing Nassau, so play the front, play the back, play the overall match play. We were playing straight up, and I lost all 9 of the first holes. And then I was standing on as a golf course that we'd all wanted to play for a really long time. And I was like, look, I'm just not having fun. Like, I want to have fun at this golf course. So I concede the last 2 bets. You could just have them $1 a piece, take your $3, and I just want to have fun. And I shot like 2 over on the back. And it's just like, on Saturday, I was playing a skins game against people that I was giving pops to. I shot a 47 on the front, shot 38 on the back. Once kind of like things were established. So it's not like the skills aren't there in pieces, and I do think that I'm getting better individually at each of the skills. But like, man, like I'm just not gonna lie, like it sucks to not feel like my game handles pressure well, my game handles travel well, and not to be able to sit here and look y'all in the eyes and say, like, I'm a better golfer this year than I was last year. So that's the state of my game.
Yeah. Greg, do you think you consistently shoot like 5 to 10 strokes better on the back 9? Like, do you think that if you were playing 27 holes, that your last 18 would be like high 70s, low 80s consistently? And if you just exclude that first 9 holes, like, is it a warm up thing? Is it mental? You're just like getting out on the course, getting started? Like, I think there's an experiment to be had here if you're consistently doing that.
It reminds me of something we used to say as Bills fans a lot. It's like, yeah, man, if we just had another 2 quarters, we totally would have won that game. Like, absolutely. Just needed a couple more quarters against Tom Brady. They ran out of time.
That's right.
Maybe, I mean, I think I tend to be a better golfer on the back 9. Like, for example, one of these matches that I lost, I got down 3 twice. Like, like scrapped my way back and then lost on the 17th tee box because I just hit like the one bad par 3 tee shot of the day, and I almost hold a chip to take it to 18, but I didn't. I can't count on that. So maybe like I just like I'm caught in the middle of this thing of like I think my practice is getting more intentional, but like I do want to play more golf, but like I can't play golf outside every day. Like I play once or twice a week, so I tend to like play a lot in the sim, and like that's where I'm seeing the numbers, and that's where I'm seeing the ball striking get better. But yeah, to Depressive Hack's point, all the events, those were match play. So the 0-7-1 were all matches that someone else stood on business to me. And it doesn't feel good as a competitor. I hate losing.
Someone stood on your business. Rough.
Yeah.
Were those, I'm also curious, were those matches mostly at your home course or away courses or a mix?
2 were at my home course. One was at an away course in Nashville. Another one was at an away course in Buffalo, and then another one was the rest of them were at Spade Bay Ryder Cup. Okay. Actually, yeah, I got that right. But yeah, it was a decent mix. But like two guests came in to play these competitive matches. We were set up in this like league in Nashville. 2 guests came to my home course and trounced me, which like. Talk about not having that dog in you, right? But yeah, it's a mix.
Yeah, but yeah, that's why I was asking. Is that I mean, there's definitely because you play most of your rounds at your home course, right? So like, 80%. If you're playing net match play events, and your handicap's mostly based off of how you're performing at your home course, which you know better, and typically folks will play better at their home course if they play a ton versus new place they're playing for the first time or whatever. But it sounds like it's kind of across multiple, or home and away. So maybe there's more to do there, but I'm sure that contributes at least a little bit, right?
Yeah, I would say so. Like going to North Carolina this weekend, I don't feel super confident. Like I'm trying to manufacture confidence, like false confidence, but like I don't feel super confident that my game is going to translate to like, oh, cool, I'm like consistently shooting between 79 and 83 at my home course. Like I wouldn't be surprised if I shoot at 87, 88 in North Carolina. You know what I mean? Or worse, hopefully. Like my God, hopefully not, but maybe. All right, so that's me bearing my soul, just to create some psychological safety for y'all and for the listeners. Who wants to go next?
Should we rotate around, or should we talk about what's your plan? Like what are you going to do?
Yeah, we can do that. I mean,
or maybe you don't have a plan, and we don't have to talk about it.
Maybe that's part of the problem.
Saying.
I would say like TBD on what that plan. I mean, part of the plan is I do think that like the way that I'm practicing is helping because the skills are getting better. I can prove that with data. Like I can see that like I'm hitting better shots, my dispersion is getting better, like everything else. I don't know what to do about the mental side of the game. And so that's like, look, if you're out there, would love to hear from you, but I don't know right now what to do. I have some time to figure it out. Like we're going to the off season. We didn't quite end up this year the way that we wanted to. We still got the draft, we still got free agency. We're going to look at the coaching staff. We're going to look at our schemes, but yeah, we have time to figure it out. But like, that week 1 of next season is going to come up faster than we think. So I got some work to do.
Yeah. I haven't read it, so take it with a grain of salt, but John Sherman did come out with that. I'm going to blank on the title, but he wrote his 4 Foundations book, and then he also wrote the second version specifically for competitive golf. So might be something to look at.
I'll take anything I can get. Unfortunately, I've also read all the other books, and now I'm just a head case with all of it in my head. But yeah, I've joked for a long time that like I have a golf coach and that's helped. Like I need a therapist. I think like if BetterHelp had a golf version, I'd pay for sure for it. But yeah, I'll check out Sherman's book. Friend of the pod.
Hopefully this helps out. I just posted a request to Twitter for a sports psychologist to help you out. So we'll see if anybody DMs. I'll send them your way.
I appreciate it.
Yeah, we'll get you some help.
I'm not the only one feeling this way, I'm sure. So I just wanted to be the first one to say it. So
definitely.
Well, we got some other things to get into, but I want to hear from y'all. Like we're high level where y'all's games. We can dive into some stuff, but.
Coop, you want to go first, or
sure? I'll take it. I feel like mechanically and mentally, I'm in the right place with my golf game. The main problem I have right now is just looking through my Arcos stats. Is my short game. It's just like I got new wedges, and I think that's a really good thing. My spin rate is better. Like contact and distances are more consistent. The issue is when I'm taking speed off of it to do chips around the green, I just don't have the weight and feel down yet. And so I'm flubbing like 50% of my chips, like absolutely devastating numbers, green side, where, I'm hitting a drive 275 plus pretty consistently within a decent range. I'm not losing it. And then I just can't get myself onto the putting surface. Once I'm on the putting surface, I'm okay. And so it's my approach shots where I'm really, really struggling. We'll see how that, can kind of play, but it's killing my scores. I can't score because I can't get onto the green and, give myself even an opportunity for par. My double bogeys are up when I do get my consistent, like I think Arco shows me versus a 5.0 handicap. I'm getting 2 more birdies per round, but I'm getting 3 more double bogeys per round. So like that range,
high variance game.
Exactly. I'm playing my Jordan Spieth out here, just getting lost in the woods on some of these holes. But but I feel good about it. I'm still really enjoying the game. I haven't played any competitive rounds except for Ryder Cup, which was a mixed bag. So I don't have any stats like that to prove it or match it up. But I think I would certainly be a head case right there with you, Greg, if I was doing more of that. That's been my experience so far with a lot of those type of matches. But yeah, looking forward to getting in the sim, looking forward to getting the stack system going this off season and seeing what I can do.
Yep. How often do you practice around the green? Like, how often do you go out and only do that?
Very infrequently. I don't have like a good practice facility to do that, so it's really like on course, right? And I try to go out and then, you know, when I really, if I'm not holding up pace of play or something, I'll just drop another ball and hit it and just prove to myself that I'm capable of hitting that chip shot. So some of that, but very infrequently am I going and actually like, that would be a good fix for that specific problem, is to go actually do that instead of hitting off mats or just playing 18-hole rounds.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that'd be a solution that I should consider.
And how is it just around the green, or is it also like those partial wedge shot approach shots, like 100 in? Is it that too, or is it just the chip stuff around the green?
I'd say like 90 plus. I'm pretty dialed because it's that full swing. It's when I'm like 60 yards and in trying to get touch. I'm just either hitting it way too far or nervous when I hit it too far, and then I underswing or decelerate. So more practice I think would be the solution there. Just get that feel down, but I feel like that's just a missing link.
One thing that's cool for the like partial swing approach stuff, TrackMan has, I think it's Performance Center, but like if you go in the menu in TrackMan, you click, like next time you're at the sim, you click, I think it's practice, and then there's, I think it's either Performance Center or whatever, but you can actually set it up to randomize between like 30 and 112 or like whatever the extent of your wedges are. And then it'll randomize it to different pins and different distances. And then it'll give you strokes gain data against all amateurs who've done it. And you can sort of see where you stack up with TrackMan over time. That's been great for just being like, okay, what's a 55-yard shot feel like? What's a 65-yard shot feel like? What's a full swing feel like? And then what's a like flighted down, get it to spin kind of thing to feel like? And you'll be like, you know, losing strokes, but then it's nice and gamified. Where you're like, okay, cool. Well, actually, you know, my full swing wedges, like you said, maybe pretty dialed. I'm maybe only losing a fraction of a stroke on that, because again, it's also including really great amateurs in that too. But then like, yeah, those 50 to 75-yard shots, like I'm losing a stroke or something. So
yeah, and shout out to Stack System. I believe the Stack wedging program is very similar in that it kind of, it's getting you dialed in on all the in-between distances from like the full shot to chips. And it gives you, random yardages, and then, kind of measures your dispersion to those and helps you dial in those. So it could be something to work on.
check that out.
Yeah.
The other thing I was going to mention, not that like adding a Instagram swing thought is necessarily the best thing to
always helps
improve your game. But one thing I did find actually really helpful. So there's this guy, Joseph Mayo, who was he was Victor Hovland's swing coach for a while, and he's kind of renowned, I guess, specifically for chipping. But if you follow him on Instagram or probably on other platforms as well, he's got just kind of a formula, I guess, for chipping, which is a little bit non-traditional. But it's funny, I kind of wasn't even looking for it last year, but came upon him, listened to like a podcast or two with him, and then it actually like opened up like 1 to 2 more shots that I didn't have around the green, and now that I do, now I do. Like I can actually pretty consistently hit a checky chip, like with spin and some stop on it, which I just like did not have in my bag before. So I find that is the trickiest thing with around the green, is like I watch the pros, and it's just whatever situation they're in, they've got the shot right. But it's not the same as just, well, I have to get my swing down. It's like there's 18 different shots, that you probably need to be able to play to, get up and down from anywhere. And I had like one. And so anyways, that's one idea, is like, it is tough, obviously, if you have the constraint of not being able to practice it a ton, but just having like 1 to 2 other go-tos I found helpful over the past year, whereas before it was like my go-to was, throw it up high and hope that I have enough room for it to roll out and get it close to the green, which
Yeah,
isn't great sometimes.
I'd love for you to send me that, because I feel like one of the biggest issues is decision making based off of like my lie, right? I'm 20 yards off the green, I'm in rough, right? Do I hit a super flop, or do I try to slide through it? And I'm not making good decisions based off of my skills. So that sounds like a really helpful thing to do. Just to add some more tools to the tool belt.
Yeah, and I would highly recommend. The reason I asked the question about practice, and I think this conjoins with what Chris was just saying, like make a date with yourself to find a practice facility that even in Nashville, like there's munis that just have free chipping practice facilities, right? I'm sure Philly has something similar.
Sure.
And just go and set a timer for an hour and just only do that. Don't go to the range, don't putt, just go and like, can I consistently hit one shot that gets on the green? Then okay, now I want to like learn how to hit it higher, lower, medium, more consistency. I know you know how to do that, but I think just creating the intentionality of like I'm going to go there for an hour and I'm only going to take my wedge. I'm not going to be, you're a bomber, right? So I'm sure you're like I want to go out to the range, just start crushing golf balls. Like don't even take your whole bag. Just take your 3 wedges, no putter, and just spend an hour. And then once the timer goes off, go home.
Yeah.
All right, Chris.
Well, before we leave, Coop, what's your handicap trend, or where's that sitting? What's the line done this year, and where's it trending now?
I started off this year pretty high up, and then my low handicap I got to a 6.5. So I've dropped into single digits, which was my goal, I think, at the beginning of the year, to get down to around a 5, and then recently bounced back up to a 7.1. So I'm hanging out there. When I need to shoot a good score to keep it from flying way too high, I have done that a couple times. I've backed up tees, so I'm playing more consistently from blues and blacks than from like greens and whites, where I was hanging out, and still keep my scores somewhat manageable. So yeah, trending in the right direction, but tentatively like at risk of going up pretty high if I don't make some changes and get some practice in.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I'm actually at a very similar spot, just in terms of where the game's trending. Like I was actually on a very good trend earlier in the year, and that's reversed, unfortunately. So I think I started the year at 9 point somethings, trended down into the 7s, and I was on such a good trend like into June, July, and then in August basically ended up not playing for like a month, just from family stuff, vacation, and work and other things getting in the way. And it completely derailed my progress. It's like in hindsight is so disappointing, because I was on such a good trend. I was, as I would say, even outperforming what I was expecting to do, but was on a perfect trend towards, starting at 9, goal for the end of year was 5. I was right on track, and then totally got derailed. So I've jumped back up in the 8s, and I am definitely at risk, like you were saying, Coop, of running off a few of those low scores and then jumping back up even further. So it's been a little bit of a roller coaster year, which is frustrating for sure, especially because it felt like I just, you get into those good periods of time where it's like you just feel like you know what you're doing with your swing, you know where the balls are going to go, like you feel like you have it, and then totally lost that after kind of the gap in playing time. But is what it is. I'm definitely at a little bit in the wilderness right now when it goes to the swing. That'll happen sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
And obviously it's a little tough, right? We're like probably just have a few more weeks of actually getting in some play outside, and then we'll have some events and stuff over the winter we'll get to play. But it's a bummer, trying to get it before golf goes away for a little bit, at least on course play. But gives me plenty of stuff to work on for the winter. Get some stack training going, get some other some other things going over the winter. I think I'm going to try to be much more diligent this winter about getting some consistent lessons going, and also some consistent, goals for specific things I want to change in my swing, and just try and get on a good cadence with that. So you can come out, if you've got like, say, a 5-month time frame to do that, try and be really diligent about it, so that we can see some results coming out next year. I think that's my goal for the winter. But yeah, it's been a little bit of a rocky up and down year thus far, but hopefully we can get it on track and kind of trending in the right direction going into next year.
I believe in us.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Let's do it.
I've got a shot for sure.
Yeah, for sure. So let's kind of add some grades to this. So I want each of you to think about letter grades, school letter grades. I think we all know how those work for your off the tee approach and finesse. So that's inclusive of like the chipping, the putting, anything within 40, let's say. And so I'll start, I think off the tee right now, like I kind of range between just like auditing the class and like getting a C. It just kind of depends, honestly. And it's like the word, like Chris saw a couple of the, like I can literally go from like toe shanking a golf ball, like the yippiest stuff you could ever imagine, to hitting a 295 yard drive. Like it just like the disparity between those outcomes, and not that 295 is like that's like the best kind of situation, and there's a worst case situation, but there's such a huge gap between those two things. I will say that I've started hitting 2-iron a lot more off tees, so like kind of especially because I have the yips and you never know what you're going to get. I have started hitting 2-iron more. I kind of learned a different ball flight for it. Scotland, it was always kind of the low runner. This one goes a little bit higher, has a little bit more spin, but carries further. And basically my rule of thumb right now is like, if I can have an 8-iron in hand, goes against all the data, right? But just like realistically, if I can have an 8-iron in my hand, I'm probably hitting 2-iron. And there's obviously a lot of holes that hitting a 250 yard 2-iron means having a wedge in hand too. If I have to have a 7 or lower loft, then I hit driver depending on what's happening. But I'm hitting 2-iron off par 5s. Like I'm just like, I'm not going to reach a par 5 or 2 anyway. So let's hit because the 2-iron, there's less worry there. So I would say that like if I'm giving my report card to my parents, there's probably a note from the teacher, right? It's just like, we need to talk. But we're flashing some things as well. We just know that our collective expectations for little Gregory should be higher than what we're currently seeing in the class. What about y'all off the tee?
C+, inconsistent. Yeah, like passing, right? Like I'm finding my balls. I've played a couple rounds with the same golf ball this year, which is always a huge win. But I'm still getting myself into trouble swinging too hard, that kind of thing. But I'm passing.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm going to be very data driven in my approach. Shout out Arcos. Got the look at my game stats over here. But in general for drive, I'd say I'd give myself a B. I've actually, between the stack system last winter and getting a new driver, shout out Callaway on our trip to the Ely Callaway Performance Center earlier this year. But getting a new driver actually has made a huge difference. Turns out 15 years of advances in driver technology actually do make a difference. So distance has improved a ton. Still not like a perfectly accurate driver of the golf ball, but overall trending really well. I think I still have a lot of improvement to do, and like you could see on the Arcos screen, like I'm still lagging versus my target handicap in the driving category, but overall feel pretty good about it. I give myself a B and trending in the right direction, which is good. I think what I don't have is like I don't have the go-to like fairway finder feel. Like I definitely have the two-way miss just in general with my game, but certainly off the tee too, which is like, that's something that needs to be fixed in order to
Fair.
improve to the next level, you know.
I will say that one thing I can say about mine is I don't have a two-way miss, but I have it's either straight, perfect, or really hooky. You know, like I know I'm not going to hit the ball right, but it might go really far left, unfortunately. Okay, approach-wise, I would say this is the biggest area improvement in my game. It was definitely the biggest emphasis of like, hey, I'm decently driving the ball earlier this year, and if I could just hit more greens, my scores will drop. Unfortunately, the approach got better and the driving got off the tee got worse. But I would give myself a B minus approach wise. Like when I have an opportunity to hit a green, I'm not upset with my shots. Like I'm putting them in roughly the right spots with roughly the right shape. And I would say from 7 wood on down, I feel very confident with an iron in my hand. And that has been the biggest improvement of the game. So I'm gonna give myself a B minus on approach.
Yeah, I will follow up with that and say B for my approach game. Like, got pretty consistent ball flight. Like my miss is where I expect my miss to go, usually with that, and yeah, like I can get in from over 100 yards pretty consistently.
Yeah, I will give myself a D on approach game. This is like and part of it's probably just frustration. And like, this is when I look at my Arco stats, when I look at any stats about my game, this is clearly the deficiency that needs to be fixed. And despite putting in some work on it, not improving a ton, have fits and starts where it's working well, but this is clearly the thing that needs to be fixed for me to get to the next level, and it has not. So this is what I want to work on the most. It's frustrating in that I've known that for a while, right? And it's still like the improvements aren't showing up yet, but you try and persevere. Like I said, a goal for the winter, keep working at it and be more diligent, consistent about, actually working with a coach and making some changes, not just, kind of go out and play a bunch of golf and hope it gets better, and some intentional practice. So we'll see, but yeah, this is not feeling good about this area of the game currently. That's for sure.
Fair. Appreciate your brutal honesty. All right, finesse. I'm gonna say A minus for me here. This has always been the strength of my game. I love having a wedge in my hand. It is an area that like I will spend just hours. Anytime there's a green somewhere that doesn't have a sign that says no chipping, I'm just trying to do a bunch of stuff, trying to like be creative, trying to hit high shots, low shots, weird shots, spinny shots. Like it's the part of golf that I love the most. If it was just golf, it was just like 40 yards in and every golf course only had that, I would be probably happier, honestly, than I am with full golf courses. I love it so much. And I don't think it's a coincidence that because I have the most confidence in that area and obviously spend a lot of time trying to get better, it's kind of one of those like make your strengths better situations that like that's my favorite part, and that's also like the consistent, and it's the best under pressure. And like I said earlier, like that match that I had 17, I was hitting great irons. I towed an iron into a sand trap, and like that's a clear like, okay, I'm gonna lose this hole, but like I said, I was like, I'm just gonna make this. Like I said out loud, like I'm gonna make this, and I lifted out. And not to say that every wedge is great, but like the confidence, I wish I could manufacture that confidence and have that confidence translate to other parts of my game. So A minus, I'm still going to work my ass off to make that part even better because it's such a strength. But I would say it's the strength of my game right now. A minus.
It's great. It's awesome. We need something between a mini golf course and a par 3 course for you, Greg. Like just a chipping course.
Let's build one.
Yeah, sounds cool. For me, I think the closer I get to the green without a putter in my hand, the worse I get. I don't know if you can see. This is my Arcos. Like that's as it decreases in distance, I decrease in skill and talent. And my largest.
You need to post that. That graph is sick. You need to post that graph.
It's really crazy. And there's a couple
There's
of
a trend.
super illustrative. Like the greens in regulation, I'm also like way above for 200-yard shots. Like proximity is similar with my 6-iron as it is to like my 70-yard shot. It's kind of crazy how bad I am inside of 120 yards. So F, just a fail. The closer I get to the green. So yeah, really need to improve there. We're having a parent teacher conference. To use your analogy about my chipping, it's just like inexplicable.
Yeah, you need some Saturday school. You need some tutoring.
Detention. Yeah,
get a Kumon situation.
Kumon, exactly. I got to go. Do my tables. Yeah, it's bad. It's just bad.
Sure.
This is a brighter spot for me. Not that I'm perfect. And actually, one of my goals for this year, when we did them at the beginning of the year, was specifically to improve on short game and getting up and down more frequently, which I'm definitely not all the way there. Still a lot to improve on, but feel like I've made tangible progress versus where I was earlier in the year, which is, I'm feeling good about, kind of the opposite of my approach play, where I've put in work and kind of not really seen any progress. Like I said, there's still a lot more shots around the green that I don't have that could benefit from. I could still certainly improve a lot, but have made some leaps. Have a couple of different shots in the bag now that I feel a lot better about and a little more control. Still would love to get up and down, much more frequently. And to give myself a little bit of credit, I do think my home course is more difficult in around the greens. It's just faster and firmer greens, and so if you're short-sighted, you're screwed. And it kind of that plays out. Obviously, if my approach game isn't good and I'm missing short-sighted a bunch, that hurts me there. But overall, feeling solid. I'd give myself a B-, I'd say. Again, like that's coming from a C, so positive trend, but some solid work, still work to do though.
Okay, like it. Great. Well, I had a couple other things, but I actually think I want to save some of these for a future pod where maybe we focus a little bit more on goals. I think that will align nicely with us probably rekindling our stack system challenge that we did last year. So let's save some of that stuff for future pods. We have some really exciting stuff coming up. We're going to be talking a lot more about Hillcrest, which I know people are going to be excited to hear. So we have some really fun stuff planned. So definitely make sure you're subscribed, make sure you're following so you get notified when those things came out on either YouTube or Spotify or Apple Podcasts. But that's it for this week. Really appreciate everyone tuning in. And thank you, as always, Cooper and Chris and Bossie for showing up and participating, especially when we had to be very vulnerable this podcast and talk through where our golf courses are. But also a big reminder, check out Hillcrest memberships, check out Instagram and YouTube for Hillcrest and Spade Bay updates. Hit us up in Discord with guest ideas, hot takes, or feedback. Follow the pod, leave a review, and we will see y'all next time. Appreciate it.
Shout out Stack System. See y'all.